Uh,
I'm on a meeting.
huh?
I'm sorry, I was talking to my wife.
Okay. All right. I'm going to mute everybody. Uh, if you want to talk, raise your hand or just unmute yourself and try to interject when the presenter isn't talking. Today is Coach Greg, and he got a cold one for y'all. This is very relative to what's going on right now. So please interact as best you can and be respectful. All right. Greg, after I mute everybody, you can unmute yourself. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right. There it is.
Oh,
All right, Greg, you good to go.
All right. Can you all hear me? Am I good?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sweet. So what's going on, guys? Appreciate y'all for spending the evening with us. Like Eric said, got a topic that is one near and dear to my heart, and two of a timely fashion because this is where we are now. What, 2 weeks now into the new year already, which is already crazy. But so the power of New Year's resolutions, this is all going to be centered around how to appropriately set New Year's resolution goals, why so many New Year's resolutions fail, and then provide you guys with a couple super simple, easy strategies that can ensure your success so that we have an absolute kick-ass year, and we don't have to set the same damn New Year's goals that we have every year. So, with that being said, how many of you guys have, set New Year's resolutions before? Have you been down this road before? I'm sure we all have. And how many of you guys have went ahead and set resolutions for this year? And let's just hear a couple examples. Just go ahead, shout them out, type them in the chat.
My resolution was to get healthier and lose 60 pounds over the year.
Hell yeah.
I don't.
My,
Go ahead, sir.
oh, no worries. 145 and 25, 145 pounds in 2025.
I dig it.
mine's to lose about 50 as well.
I typically don't set New Year's resolutions, but I did decide to be healthier this year. So I want to lose about 50 pounds and then go from there.
Nice, man. So it sounds like 50 is the magic number. But yeah, like I said, a lot of us have said them before. Appreciate you guys sharing and jumping in. Got some awesome big goals. Now here's the kicker. How many of you achieved last year's New Year's goals? Which who achieved last year's New Year's goals? Did anybody?
I achieved my goal. I stopped drinking last year, so I haven't had to drink since. So that was a big goal
Hell
for
yeah,
me
man.
last year.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
appreciate it.
That's incredible, dude. Congratulations, bro.
Thank you.
So this sort of leads me into the next slide. Because obviously not many of you, jumped at, oh, how many of you had a successful previous year of crushing whatever goal you set for yourself? And so I went ahead and found a couple of statistics on how successful are like New Year's resolutions. And as you can see, like these numbers are pretty shitty. Like these are pretty scary. Um, and it's like the fact that what 80% of people fail pretty early on in the year, and don't realize their goals is pretty scary. Like these are frightening statistics. So and it's like, if you were traveling or if you were starting I don't know, you're the next Elon Musk and you're starting a rocket ship business and you're sending people to the moon, but you know, your rocket had an 80% chance that the engine would malfunction and everyone would die, and your competition had a 0.001% chance of engine malfunction. It's gonna be really hard to send people to the moon and make some money off of that. So like point is like these are really, really bad numbers.
Greg,
Yo,
put it in presentation mode.
presentation
Hit
mode.
slideshow. Hit slideshow.
Where do you see slideshow?
Up
Is that the
top.
bottom?
Up
This?
top. Up top.
Oh,
Yep, or right there.
I got it. Oh,
There
it
you
makes
go.
it bigger. Good call. Yeah, so if anyone couldn't read any of that because it was super tiny, because I'm technologically a dumbass. These are again some of the statistics. So they're not good, right? This is the failure rate is incredible, and that's not what we want to hear. So actually, before I even do that, I want to hear some answers from you guys. Like, what are some reasons why you think New Year's resolutions fail so frequently?
People set too high of a goal and too short of a timeline.
Okay, so unrealistic goals and inappropriate timelines. Absolutely. What else do we got? Why do New Year's resolutions fail?
People are not consistent.
Ah, we got consistency. Consistency's king. Love it. What else?
Poor
Lack
People don't
of
planning.
like
known
things.
results.
Oh, I like that.
Sorry.
When things get a little bit difficult, they tend to just quit rather than pushing through the hardest part, which is getting consistent and following through. That way they could actually see the results.
Okay. Yeah, so lacking grit, resilience, ability to push through when shit gets tough, because shit's gonna get tough. Absolutely.
I
Let's
said
hear a
poor
couple more.
planning.
Poor planning, 100%. No game plan, plan to fail.
They
Let's
do
hear
it
one
for
more.
other people, not themselves.
Okay, so having some motivation that is external instead of internal. I dig it. So every single
think
one of
some
you
peop-
guys.
I
Go
think
ahead.
some people say, I think a lot of people say it just to say, just for attention too. I will say that. Because you see a lot of
Okay.
people say, I'm going to the gym, new year, new me, right? And then they go to the gym 2 days and then they asking, what you drinking tonight? And then they don't go back, right? So one thing I want to say to everybody is no more new year, new me, right? We all Body Ops members. New year, new we. We all are going to be different this year, so everybody else can follow us that watches us. That's how I want to view it.
It's a
And
unit.
that's my
Awesome.
vision for everybody now.
We grow together. I dig it. So every single one of you guys hit on one of the points that I'm gonna run through real quick here, which was awesome. And this is not even a full exhaustive list. Like we could be here all night. So first and foremost, like relying on willpower and motivation. That's one huge reason why people fail. And we already had an entire presentation on on motivation and why it is bullshit and how motivation is a limited resource. It's fleeting, comes and goes. You cannot rely on it. And you can't wait for it to kick in order to engage in an action or habit that you need to do to be successful. Right? Motivation is never the beginning of the cycle. Right? Step one is never to get motivated. Step one is to take fast fucking action now. And then with fast action and consistent action, you see results. And then through results, you become motivated. Motivation is last in the process, not come first. And someone like brought up like, resilience and not pushing through. So that falls kind of under the same category too. Another big one is like every year people choose the same solutions for the same problems, right? Every year, like they set up a resolution and a goal to, like you stop drinking, stop smoking, lose some weight, get healthier, like whatever it might be. But then they employ the same exact strategies and tactics, and they use the same solutions year after year. And like someone said that insanity is basically doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. Right? Doing the wrong thing over and over again is never going to get you where you want to get to. Someone brought up this one, like a lack of game plan, lack of strategy. I think we all intuitively know this one too, but it's like, if you don't have a recipe to success, like you're setting yourself up for failure. It's just as simple as that. Someone brought up the unrealistic goals, right? Setting unrealistic goals sets us up for a cycle of like frustration and burnout. If, you know, we're trying to lose like 30 pounds in 5 weeks, it's not going to happen. And when you don't do that, you feel like an asshole and feel like a loser. We got the time management one, right? Like, I don't accept I don't have time as an excuse. It's never an excuse. It's a decision. Might ruffle some feathers, but it's all about priorities. You make time for the things that are meaningful to you, period. You know, you decided not to do it. It wasn't a time issue. It was, you know, it was you made a conscious decision to do something different. And I can tell you what you definitely don't have time for. You definitely don't have time for things like cancer and to spend a long time in hospital beds and shit like that, right? So do the hard things, make time for it, because it matters and it stacks up. Someone even mentioned impatience, I believe, you know, like just like, dude, you guys didn't get here overnight. You know, it's not going to take a couple of weeks to realize this new version of yourself. Weight loss takes time, you know, and keeping it off forever takes even more time, and learning the skills to do that takes time. It doesn't happen in 10 weeks, 20 weeks. Those are all just quick fixes things. Like these, to unwind all of these poor habits and bad habits, it's a marathon. And we're not going to undo a bunch of, you know, poor habits over years of doing them, you know, in a matter of weeks. Changing too much too soon. So this one may seem a little counterintuitive, but it's like, just start small, one thing at a time, and then stack it up from there. Right? When you, if I threw 30 tennis balls at you at once, how many do you think you could catch? And each one you caught, you got $1. You might get 2, 1 in each hand. Right? So if you take on too much shit and you're doing too much too soon, like, you're gonna miss a lot. Right? So one small habit at a time. Accountability, you know, this is your safety harness, your safety net. So we're having a coach steps in, ensures that you don't fall off the cliff. And if you do, he's there to fucking catch you and make sure you get back on and you're good. And then last two, we got what? Lack of flexibility. You know, that's just, you know, being too rigid in your approaches. You know, you gotta, like, just like a thermostat in your house is constantly like adjusting the temperature based on what the room is doing. That's how this journey works. It's not just one thing all the time. Things constantly have to be changing based on the circumstances. And then relying on focusing only on outcome versus process. So someone want to take a guess at what I mean by that?
Maybe someone wants to lose, like you said earlier, the 30 pounds in 5 weeks. They're focusing on the outcome. They do some of the work, but they're only seeing like a small change. And they're not really thinking deeply about how far they have to go to get to the end result. They're only focusing on getting to the outcome rather than the small steps in the plan to get to the outcome they want.
100%. Give no room for anyone else. That's awesome. I love it. You nailed it on the head. Like, that's exactly right. It's like, you know, yeah. So like an example would be like, if your goal is to run a marathon and that's the only thing that you focus on, that's the outcome. The goal is to run a marathon. Process to get there, you gotta fucking train. So a process goal would be something like, I'm gonna run 3 times a week for 30 minutes. That's the step that's gonna get you to the outcome. And when we focus too much on the outcome, on the end result, we miss, like you said, the planning and the process. So getting too far ahead of ourselves is a deterrent. So as you can see, there's a lot of freaking reasons why New Year's resolutions fail. This isn't even all of them. And one easy way to make sure that none of these plague you guys is hire a coach. That's where we get to step in and make sure that none of this shit happens and none of this shit pulls you off track. So there's a little plug for coach. So screw New Year's resolution. You know, fuck them, dude. Like, And this honestly was, I was very adamant about this. Like this was, I made, I love when New Year's comes around, because I'd be like, no, like forget this. This is dumb. Like the numbers don't back it up. You know, there's never there's never a reason to wait to take action and change. And to me, New Year's resolutions were always that. It's like, I'm going to wait for this arbitrary date to go ahead and start an endeavor. And while I do still believe that, I've kind of pulled back my emphasis on giving the middle finger to New Year's resolutions. I still believe that the best time to make a change is immediately. However, I was wrong about one thing, and that's a phenomenon called the fresh start effect. And this is a phenomenon that is well researched and cannot be overlooked and denied. So what this is it's basically a physiological phenomenon known as the fresh start effect. It just demonstrates that people are more likely to pursue goals following significant temporal landmarks that mark some sort of like new beginning, right? So obviously, new year, new beginning. Doesn't even have to be that big. It could be an every month thing. It could be a calendar event, a date like a birthday or something like that. And it could even be the start of a new week, right? But the effect is rooted in the way that people will mentally account for time and experiences, right? So when a new time period begins, it's like flipping to a blank page, like a blank slate. Wipe the slate clean. And individuals feel like a psychological separation from their past selves and their past failures and their past failed actions. And it makes them more optimistic and motivated about pursuing change and moving forward, right? So again, it's like the best thing, the way to think about it is like that clean slate effect, right? We get the whiteboard gets washed clean and we get to start fresh again, right? So, and like I said, this isn't just me shouting nonsense. Like this has been heavily researched. And so these are, I use research to guide best practices in everything that I do, which is why I'm happy to admit that I was, wrong about some of this stuff. But these are just 3 studies. Like if you guys want to, like, if you guys are super into that and like want to dig through this, I can send you guys these studies so you can look at them and peek through them. But to me, like even with the advantages of this fresh start effect, we still see people struggle to maintain their New Year's resolutions and their goals, right? And so for me, like the big issue now is like we need to figure out how to take advantage of this fresh start effect, and build out a recipe that this is like the ignition to a fire that gets it going, right? And we got to take advantage of that so that we can be successful in setting up our goals, and realizing them and completing them with practical steps. So the last sort of half of this presentation is going to be just quickly running through some big rocks of like, how do you make this work for yourself then? So we talked a lot about all the ways this shit goes wrong and flies off the tracks. Okay, well, how do we make this work for us? Right? So this is a really, really fantastic method. It's basically it's creating a goal hierarchy, right? And it involves basically, setting one big giant top level goal. And then you have to break that goal down into its smaller, more manageable chunks. You need that big long-term goal. You need some medium-term goals to get to that big-term goal. And then you need those short-term goals that get you to the medium-term goal, right? And each goal acts as like a stepping stone, a check mark. It's like a level in a video game. I got this stupid fucking Mario thing behind me. That's what each level is, or each save point, each check mark. It tells you that you're on the right path and moving towards the larger objective. And this also makes the process more manageable and less overwhelming. Like I know a lot of you threw out like 50. You can't lose 50 pounds if you don't lose 5 first. you know? So breaking down your goals into these chunks and like have your coach like sit down and walk you through some of this too. You know, like that's what I do this with my clients. And it makes the process, it makes focusing on the process a lot easier. So we got goal hierarchy is one. We've got leveraging emotion. So this is basically finding your why, your deep reason for why you're here. And when you do this, this is what gets you through tough times. So I know some of this can be a little personal. Is anyone willing to share their deep why before I explain, this a
got
little
one.
bit further? Yeah, man, let's hear it.
So even before today, like I've been wanting to lose weight so I can be around the next, 20, 30 years. I'm 33. I'm 5'8", 260 pounds. I'm at risk for heart disease, both genetically and based on my physical condition. Just today, my friend, pretty much my flatmate here, they got to work to find out that two of their coworkers, both in their 50s, are in the hospital from heart attacks at home, and then one of their other coworkers, who's 40, passed away the other night from a freaking stroke. So
Jeez.
it's one of those drive it home factors.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for sharing, man. I know that probably not easy to share, but thank you. And as far as a deep reason and an emotional anchor to pull from, that's about as deep as you can fucking get, right? And when you're willing to like ask yourself these really tough questions and these hard questions and discover your deep purpose for change, one that will absolutely fucking ignite your passion. This is what drives you to results, and it's what allows you to push through when you don't want to. It allows you to continue going no matter how bad you want to quit, because you're going to want to quit. This is one of the first things I tell my clients. You're going to want to quit, and you're going to want to quit a lot. And that's normal. But having this emotional anchor is it's your buffer, it's your safety, it's what's going to push you through those tough times, right? And while a lot of these like surface value things of, oh, I want like a six pack, I want bigger shoulders, I want, I want to be a weight that I was 10 years ago, like that's all great, that's all fine and good. But that's not your deep why. That's a surface level reason, right? And on the other hand, like, what's way more motivating? What was just shared with us. That's motivating. Or, having someone who's like, yeah, I've got 2 grandkids on the way. Right now, I'm so out of shape and overweight, I wouldn't be able to get on the ground and experience them growing up. I'd be the old, grandparent stuck in the chair because I can't get out and spend time with my kids. That's going to be way more fucking motivating than, oh, like, I want to get rid of my arm flap. So taking the time to do this is really challenging, not easy. I have this is sort of an example of what this looks like. It's an exercise called the 5 whys. I have a couple of my clients do it who really needed it. I wrote up an entire worksheet of how to go through that's in much more detail than this, but this is essentially what you want to do. You want to tell me your goal. What's your goal? Why are you here? I can't even see all this because everyone's face is in the way, but it's like, I want to be healthier. Okay, why do you want to be healthier? Because I liked how I looked 10 years ago. Well, why did you like how you looked when you were 10 years ago? Clothes just fit a little bit better. I really like the way I looked in the mirror. Okay, why did you like the way that you looked in the mirror? Well, because I was, really proud of that person that was looking back at me. Okay, why are you proud of the person, that was looking back at you? Being a role model for my kids who are starting to get overweight is one of the best things that I can do as a parent. Boom. Now you've got it. But you see how many layers you have to peel back? How many times you got to peel back that onion? You can't just stop at 1 or 2. Keep going. And that's why it's called the 5 whys. I mean, you don't have to do it 5 times. Like that's just the name of it or whatever. But like that's the level of work that it takes to get to that deep seated reason why you're really here. Does that make sense? Cool. So last one here is just got to learn to embrace the journey. This kind of goes back to the process over outcome. You know, like all the stuff that you're learning and you're doing, and this habit formation and all these hard things that you got to do, tracking and weighing and checking things off and sending pictures and all this, like that habit formation is hard and it's a journey. And it is about progress rather than getting it perfect all the time, right? Because there are going to be days when you falter, and that's when your coach can step in. But the key is to teach yourself how to get back on track without too much self-criticism. You need some. You need a harsh reality, but realizing that change only happens from some of the darkest places, and change happens from learning from your mistakes. And you got to have the resilience to bounce back from the challenges that you face and the mistakes that you're going to make. And know that you will be strengthened by those experiences. And when you get caught up in feeling guilty, feeling bad, too much beating yourself up, you tend to just say, screw it all. And then you give up, and then you let a day go by where you don't do anything, you don't reach out to coach. And then one day turns into 2, and then 2 into 3, and then 3 into a long weekend, and then a long weekend into a week. And before you know it, 3 weeks have gone by and you haven't done shit. Got to learn to use those challenges as steps, as this sort of picture depicts, right? You got to learn how to bounce back, use those failures to grow, gain new perspective, learn a new skill that you can come back fucking stronger and better the next time. Push through that adversity, learn from those mistakes, and recalibrate and do it again. This is like, it's how like torpedoes find their end target, right? That torpedo, that guidance system is constantly making a mistake. It makes micro mistakes, and the computer fixes those micro mistakes. But that thing just keeps moving forward. It keeps constantly self-correcting until it reaches making those micro adjustments until it reaches its end destination. And that recalibration is what you guys have to learn to do. And obviously, like, that's why you have your coach.
Hey, Greg, I want to ask you a question. Can you go back?
Yeah.
Go back one. So y'all see the stairway of failing? Can someone tell us what the difference between failing and being defeated is?
Getting the fuck back up.
Ryan,
Okay.
Failing is
else?
an opportunity to have a redo, to restart, start fresh.
Versus defeat.
Defeat's when you just stop trying.
Right.
It's
That's
when
what
you
I was
give
looking
everything
for.
up.
Yeah, you just give up.
Failing is lessons learned. Defeat is when it's over. It's okay to fail. It's not okay to remain in defeat, right? How many of you all were defeated when you got here? Just raise your hand in the chat or physically say something. How many of you all were literally defeated and needed help? Right? I see a couple hands.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was.
Okay. How many people have failed since they've been here?
Yep.
Okay,
I have.
right?
I have.
Right. You
Not
came
yet.
here. You came here. You came here to get out of the mindset and out of the feeling of being defeated, right? Sometimes failing makes you feel defeated because you didn't accomplish something, right? So it's good. It's good to be your own self-critic, right? But how many of you all have been defeated or are defeated at this moment? Nobody, right? And we
That's why
still
we're here.
Exactly. That's why we're still here, because we're not defeated. So, goal, don't be defeated, right? Progress over perfection. Think about that. Enjoy the journey. You can't enjoy paradise if you ain't been there. You got to enjoy the journey, right? You ever hear old people tell you, man, when I was your age, or I wish I knew what I knew then, what I know now, right? You had to go through that journey in order to learn that, right? Same thing with your weight loss. You had to go through this journey in order to lose that weight. You had to go through this journey in order to work on your mental health. You had to go through this journey to learn I can do more than I thought I could, right? So, Greg, these two pictures right here, man, that you put on here, these were the ones that stood out the most to me. They talked to me a lot, right? I like the fact
Yeah.
that, okay, I failed. I'm going to keep stepping up. Okay, I failed.
gotta
I'm going
fail
to keep
up.
stepping up.
Fail forward.
Got to keep going, right? The journeys aren't built to
Fail
be
forward,
easy,
not back.
right? It's not, easy journeys don't lead to paradise. Easy journeys lead to instant gratification, right? So never give up. That's when you're defeated, is when you give up. All right, Greg, go ahead. I just wanted to say that hit me in the chest, so I needed to get it out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, and if anyone else wants to just jump in and start talking, like, fair game too. Last thing you guys want to hear is just me yap the whole time. So I mentioned this before, but this is where the coach can step in. All right, we went over that slide of what 8 out 10 different reasons why we can fall off track and reasons why we don't realize our true potential. A coach can help you with all of that. Coach is not a band-aid. It's not a weakness. It's not a weakness to have a coach. A lot of people think like, oh, I don't need help with this. I got this. I mean, do you? No, I mean, think of the top athletes in the world, even the best of the best. They all have coaches and have had coaches their entire life, and they will continue to have coaches. Everybody needs a coach. I have a coach. Eric has a coach. Every coach on here has a coach. Matt has a coach. Everybody has a coach, not a weakness. You need that third party. You need that other set of eyes there, making sure that you are doing the things that you need to do, holding you accountable, giving you the game plan, making sure that you are staying the course. And that can only happen when you talk to your coach and when you let us know what's going on. I know there have been times for probably all of us where, a couple days have gone by and you haven't reached out. Like, can't help you if we don't know what's going on, right? Communication is the only thing that we have here, right? And so, like, we got your back every step of the way. Just talk to us. Good, bad, especially the bad. Honestly, like, that's when you want to run to us. I always tell my clients, one of the first thing is like, I want you to run to me, not away from me. Run to me, not away from me, especially when things aren't going well. Especially when you're hurting, frustrated, sick, tired, whatever. That's when you want to lean on your coach. So I got I don't think he's on this call right now. Excuse the pose. He was feeling himself a little bit. But this is Humberto. He's an absolute rock star. He was a dude who, he has all the excuses in the world to make this not happen for himself. He worked overnights, still does. He picks up, Uber shifts, and Uber Eats shifts after he's done working for 12 or 14 hours. This dude was a grinder. And he could have thrown every excuse at the book at me. He never did. And as you can see in picture number 2, like he's feeling himself, man. Like he's absolutely crushed it. I think by what this I don't even think this is the most updated one that I have of him, but this is 27 pounds down for him. And so again, didn't let any of those reasons pull him back, push him off course. And he ran to me instead of away from me when things got tough. So, book of the month. This is was immunity to change. It was sort of the, I guess, the foundation of honestly this entire sort of idea and presentation. But basically, the idea behind this book was to teach you how to close the gap between what you want and what you know you need to do. And that's exactly where all of us have been at some point. And it's where our actions don't align with the person that we want to become. And so this book, the main premise was throughout this book was like, yeah, change isn't easy, and our brains are actually set up to push back against change that we want to make, and it's why change is so hard. Our brains literally act like your immune system when you get sick. When you get sick, your immune system throws everything that it can at this external body and tries to fight it off. That's what's happening in your brain when you try to change. And there's a bunch of psychological reasons why. I touched on a few of them, but this book explores how to overcome that. So really, really impactful and phenomenal read. Breaks everything down really, really simply. And I think that's it.
All right, Greg, you gonna share your screen. Good job, man. Y'all all can unmute yourself now. This is the part where we all get to interact.